Getting smoother guitar chord changes is something that all beginner guitarists want. And if you're looking for a simple but effective technique, then this beginner's guitar tutorial is just for you. This series of beginner guitar tutorials has focused on chords in keys. And keys are groups of chords. And in this lesson, you'll be looking at the chords in the key of F major. Now, the technique that I'm going to show you focuses on chords that have fingers in common, which can help make your transitions a lot smoother. Let me show you what I mean by looking at the first chord transition, and quite possibly the easiest of the 5 that you're going to see in this tutorial. So grab your guitar, tune up those strings, and get ready to make smoother, more fluid guitar chord transitions. So the first 2 chords we're going to look at are C and A minor. Now let's look at C, and you can use 2 versions of C for this particular transition. So you could use the full 4-finger version, or you can use the 3-finger version like so. It makes no difference. And we're going to the A minor with this one. And the thing is, with this, you'll have these 2 fingers, the first finger and the second finger. They're the ones that are anchored on the fretboard. Those are the ones you keep where they are. So whether you're using this one or this one, you will just keep them there. But here you will be sliding this finger back up the fretboard a little bit so that this 3rd finger can sneak its way into the 2nd fret of the G string. So like this, like that. And then when you go back to C, this finger will slide up a little closer to the fretboard, the fret, sorry. And you'll see that first finger doesn't move at all. The next chord change we're going to look at is C to F major. Right, so here's the C major chord, sounding rather lovely. And here's the F major chord. And as you can see, with this version of the F major, I'm using 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers. And I'm using this particular way because of the finger that the C and this F major have in common. And it's this 3rd finger, this one right here. Because if you see the C, and then if I go to the F, I'm going to tuck in this 4th finger on the 3rd fret of the D string, and then I'm going to shift over the 2nd finger onto the 2nd fret of the G string, and simultaneously I'm going to flatten my 1st finger there on the E and B string on the 1st fret. And that's the key here, I think, that makes this chord transition a little bit smoother. So I'm going to go C, tuck in the finger, move the 2nd across, flatten the 1st. Obviously when coming back, I'm going to take off the 4th finger, I'm going to move this back to the 2nd fret of the D string, and then only be playing the 1st fret of the B string. If flattening that 1st finger there is a little tricky, what you can do to a kind of a little cheat is you can not flatten it. And so basically what I mean is this: so as you make the change from the C and then you tuck in that finger, you put that finger there, you can just keep the 1st finger where it is, but you have to make sure that you dampen the 1st string, the top E string. And then when you go back, make sure you're not dampening that 1st E string when you're playing the C. So it's a bit of a cheat, but it's a way that you can play this F chord. If you need help with any of the chords that you're using in this lesson, then please click the link in the description and you'll be taken to a playlist of chords for all the lessons in this tutorial. Let's have a look at F major to D minor. Now the F chord can be played a couple of ways, and you know I often use this one. with 4 fingers. I quite like that fuller sound. You can also use F with only 3 fingers, so you then have the 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the D string, but it's not as full as this with the 4 fingers, but it's a great beginner's way of playing this. However, you can, whether you use this one or this one, when changing to D minor, the finger that they have in common is this one right here, the 2nd finger. And this is the one that you can use to kind of anchor yourself onto the fretboard. So if you're going from F to D minor, keep the finger, the 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the G, and then lift everything else off. And put the 1st finger down on the 1st fret of the top E string, and then depending on how you play D minor, you might use your 3rd finger or you might use your 4th finger, which is the one I use, and it will go on the 3rd fret of the B string. I find it much easier to use my 4th finger because this one, I find it a little harder to stretch. And then going back, keep that finger on the fretboard and then put the rest of the F chord around it. So once again, here's the F, keep the 2nd finger down, take everything off, then put the rest of the D minor chord onto the fretboard. Before we get into the last couple of chord transitions, here are a couple of practice chord progressions to get you playing these chords right now. So play along with me. So let's just try changing from C major to F major, and we're going to play 1 bar of C and 1 bar of F and repeat this a few times. And remember that in a bar we'll be playing 4 strums. And keep this nice and simple. We're just going to play 4 down strums. Okay, nothing complicated in the rhythm because we're focusing on the transitions. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's have a go at F to D minor. And remember, you can use either the 4-finger version of F or the 3-finger version of F. And as for the D minor, you'll either use your 3rd finger or your 4th finger on the 3rd fret of the B string. But remember, the thing that they have in common is the 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the G string. That's the finger you'll keep rooted as you change between those 2 chords. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now a little bit more complicated, we're going to use 3 chords. We're going to play C to F to D minor to F and then start again. 1, 2, 3, 4. you're getting value out of this beginner's guitar tutorial, then why not hit the like button and subscribe for more content just like this. Okay, so I hope you had a really good bit of practice there. And now let's look at B flat to D minor. So let's see the B flat shape. Here it is, like this. And I'm not playing a bar chord version of it. I'm playing probably what I consider to be the easiest of the beginner versions, or the best of the beginner versions. And it's like an A chord and sliding up one fret and then putting the first finger on the first fret. And with this chord you will have to dampen the A string and the low E string because you don't want those sounding. And changing between B flat and D minor, the key here is this first finger and this finger here. So we have two fingers in common with this particular D minor shape. And so if you look to change, I'm going to take off these two fingers, the second and third, and then just plonk down the second finger on the second fret of the G string, the third string. And voila! So it's quite a nice little connection between those two chords with the first finger and the fourth finger. That really does make it a little bit easier, a little bit smoother. Now some people use, on the D minor chord, some people use the third finger. I find that a bit more difficult because it seems to need a bit more of a stretch for me. But we can do something similar again though. If you're changing between those two chords, B flat, you're still going to keep that first finger on the fret, but everything else will have to change. But for this third finger here, you will lift everything up and then just move it across one string and then put down that second finger on that fret of the G string. But really, this shape, or these fingers for the D minor chord, first finger, second finger and fourth finger, make this transition a lot easier. And you can see we can keep the fingers on the fretboard as we change, which makes it pretty smooth. Here are a couple of chord progressions that we can use to practice. The first progression is basically B flat to D minor, B flat to D minor, repeated. Let's have a go at that first. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's a second chord progression we're going to use, and this time we're using 3 chords. First F, then D minor, B flat, back to D minor, and then repeat. So for this progression we're going to be using the 3-finger version of the F major chord. And remember, when changing from that version of the F to the D minor, you're going to be keeping this finger on, the second finger on, and only shifting that first finger across there before sticking on either your fourth finger or your third finger, depending on how you play D minor. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was a pretty tough chord progression, and you know, once again, with time, with practice, you'll get that right. Chord transition number 5 is a little different. Now we're using a 3-finger version of the F major chord, and we're also using the G minor chord. Now the thing about this one here, the finger that is in common isn't something that's going to stay on the fretboard as you change chord. This time what you're going to be doing is a little bit of sliding. So the F major chord likes this, and you can see the fingering on the diagram on your screen, and the only thing here is to watch out for that mini bar there with the first finger. And then the G minor chord looks like this here, and again another little mini bar, so we're kind of pushing you a little bit here with this transition. Move you out your comfort zone a tad, and that mini bar is covering the top E string, the B string and the G string at the 3rd fret. Remember, the frets are these metal bars going across. And then the 3rd finger is on the 5th fret of the D string, the 4th string. And a little tip here for you is that the 5th fret usually has a little dot on the guitar. I don't know if yours has got one, but usually on the guitar, sometimes on the 3rd, the 5th, 7th, the 9th and the 12th, there is these little dots, and that can help you, that can guide you around the fretboard. And so you're going to be sliding up from the F chord to the G minor chord. And what's happening here, the great thing about this finger, the 3rd finger, will stay on the fretboard, and it will be the kind of the anchor to help you slide up the fretboard. Now remember, up is this way towards you, down is away from you, going towards the neck of the guitar. And also the other thing with this transition, to make it a little bit smoother, as you lift off your 2nd finger, try and get your 1st finger in position for to make the little mini bar to cover those top 3 strings. So like, and then you slide up. As you're sliding up, you're getting the 1st finger in position there. Then sliding back down, keep that finger on. This one always stays on the fretboard. Slide it back down 2 frets and position, get the other fingers into position on the fretboard. So going up, your 1st finger is not going to need to move too much around the fretboard. Keep it as close as you can, and then just kind of shift it along so that it covers the 3rd string, the G string. So a little bit more of a challenging transition there, but you know, practicing it, taking your time with it will help, you know, increase your muscle memory and make it like a very natural thing to do. And you can even hear, maybe you can hear the slide as I go up. I hope you can, because it's a really nice little sound. So let's practice this one together, and we're only going to practice just F to G minor, F to G minor, and we'll keep it slow and to give you a chance to get used to that change, this transition. So all we're playing is F for a bar and G minor for a bar. And remember, in a bar there are 4 beats, 4 strums, and you can keep your strumming nice and easy by just playing down strums. You don't need to do anything complicated. Just focus on the transitions. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll be honest with you there, I also had a bit of trouble with that F to G minor, but mainly because my nails were too long and they were kind of digging into the fretboard. So a little tip keep your nails trimmed, nice and short. Get yourself a manicure. Something else you might have noticed is when I'm playing that G minor chord, this finger here, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but this finger here is kind of leaning all the way across. It's not touching any of the top 4 strings, but what it is kind of doing is helping me to dampen these 2 strings here. Because with this G minor, playing all 6 strings is going to be horrible. Listen to that. Ugh. But like that, with that finger just lightly touching, it does sound a lot nicer. For more practice, click the link on the screen and I'll see you there. Thanks for joining me today. Happy strumming.